All right, welcome. This is the van tour for our camper van. So, if we go around to the front, we'll start you off with what you need for driving. So, as the first thing, the gas tank is located right here. Just open it up. It just takes regular gas. 87 is totally fine. And this is where you would fill it. As far as everything goes inside the cab, pretty standard. Normal steering wheel. I will say that sometimes the key in the ignition gets a little bit stuck, so it is a turnkey ignition, and sometimes if you have trouble turning it, then what you have to do is just jiggle the wheel a little bit until it releases. That gets rid of the wheel lock, and then you should be able to turn the key and start the vehicle if that is an issue. Also, one of the things to note up here, we do have the controls for dumping the gray water tanks. So there are two switches here. Just flip them on, and that'll open up the valves for the water to come out. I'll show you real quick where the water comes out. So if we just walk around the van and go to this side, the passenger side, if you look underneath, you'll see there's one yellow nozzle, and then there's also a second nozzle next to that blue thing, and that's where the water drains out. So if you end up parking over a grate, or you go to a waste dump station, that's where you're going to want to connect up. We do have a hose for the yellow nozzle, but the other one does not have one, and those are connected to both the sink and the shower, so one for each. Also in the cab, we do have the touchscreen navigation system that connects to either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You need to utilize this USB plug back here in order to connect it up to your phone. Otherwise, everything else here is pretty standard. Should you want to rotate the passenger seat, there's this red lever here at the front, and if you just push down on it and then start rotating the seat, then you can see it starts to turn. Just a note, the headrest has to be pretty low in order for it to avoid hitting this top storage area. So keep that in mind when you're turning it around, that to avoid that. So let's go ahead and jump into the van. First things first, there are three turn knobs here that are for the dimmable lights. One's for the floor. The second one here is for above the fridge and passenger area. And then the third one is above the sink area. There's also a fourth knob in the back behind the bed, so that if you want to turn that one on at night before you go to sleep, and then turn all the other ones off, you're totally fine to do that. Also note that we do have the water fill. This is for potable water only, so please make sure that you fill from a potable source. And when you're looking at the tank, and if you want to know how full it is, you can see the water level as it starts to fill up. Additionally, we do have a portable toilet. So if we pull this open, there's a little locking mechanism here to keep it from sliding out when you're driving. So, and then just pull the seat out, and this is your toilet. It is portable, so you can lift it out of here and carry it wherever you need to be. When you use it, there's also instructions listed here. So what you would do is you'd fill your fresh water in here, and then when you're ready, you pump this about 15 times or so until it's been primed, and then you hit this little button, and that will be your flush. So the water will release, and then this pulling on this valve will open the valve to the dump station, the dump tank at the below, and that's where you can store it in there until you're ready to empty it out. Just note that if you use this, you do need to dump it out, otherwise there will be an applicable fine. So after you're done with that, we just scoot it back in. And then make sure to bring this little lock down so that it doesn't come flying out when you're driving, and close the door, and that'll be it. So let's move on then to the fridge area. So here we have kind of this nice cozy seating area, and the fridge is going to be located under this seat actually. So the lagoon table here can rotate. If you need to loosen this up, you simply tighten or loosen this handle here, and you can actually pull it out one direction for it to disengage and then move it where you need it to be and loosen it, kind of like a ratchet. So there I am, just loosening it up so that it'll turn nice and easy for me. There we go. Rotated it out of the way, and the handle is gonna just turn that way a little bit because it is a bit of a tight fit. So in order for this seat to come up, everything has to be kind of out of the way, just perfectly. There we go. Now we have our clearance, and this is where the fridge and freezer are located. So let me take this piece of wood that we kind of used as a stake, and hold on one second. There we go. So I just used that to keep the seat up from falling down, and I can now easily access the fridge freezer. So this left side is going to be the fridge. This right side here is going to be the freezer. So the freezer does keep it quite cold, but we found that it won't work well enough to keep things like ice cream frozen for a long period of time. So keep that in mind as you think about the freshness of your food. So I'm going to put that down, and then return the table back into position. There we go. And the handle's out of the way of the seat, and now we're good. So the fridge will keep everything good. It's just the ice cream in the freezer is the only thing you have to worry about. As far as bedding, if you look up top, there's going to be a couple of bags for sheets, pillows, and a comforter. And we also have these kind of blackout magnetic window covers that go on just like this. So the black side goes to the outside, and they are custom fitted for each of the windows. This here is the Air Max fan. So if I take off the cover, you can see we have a fan, and the controls are right here. When you want to use it, just press the on button, and it'll start activating, and the lift will open up so that you get your airflow. We recommend using this maybe at nighttime if you want a fresh breeze. Just turn this fan on, and then if you look at the back, there's a little window there that you can open up and have a cross breeze coming in and through. If you want, you can also reverse the direction of the fan for intake versus exhaust. And otherwise, you just, when you're done using it, just turn it off and it'll close the hatch and you'll be good. We recommend keeping the cover on it as whenever you're driving or not using it, as it makes it a little bit more pleasant. Now let's get into storage. Up top here we have some towels, some other cleaning supplies, a broom, extra blanket, and then a couple of niceties, just like some soap, sponge, toilet paper, paper towel. Also we have the closet style storage here that has shelves with little bins that you can put some things in there if you want to get a little bit organized. And then we also have plenty of drawers on either side that you can access. Inside there's going to be like plates, some cookware, cups, bowls, and some other things that you may want to use. We also have a sink that is located under this. So if you just lift this up and move it out, then that shows the size of the sink. When you want to use the faucet, then you just have to turn on this little switch to the on side so that the pump is primed, and then open this or open this depending on whether you want filtered water or to just use the sink, and then turn it off whenever you're driving, because if this happens to open up, then you don't want to flood everything back here. Just note, when you wash dishes in the sink, if there's any waste still left on your plate or anything like that, dump that into the trash first, and then you can wash the rest off in the sink. There's no garbage disposal or anything special like that. It's just a tank at the bottom. So please try to keep any solid wastes out of it. All right, when it comes to using electrical power, if you look at this first cabinet here, we have the Energy controls. And this switch is connected to your inverter. When you want to use anything that is the 3-prong, just turn this on. There you go. You'll hear a beep and the green light will come on and you're ready to go. Any of the 3-prong plugs. So one down there, there's one back there, and then there's one in here as well. And then actually there's also one down here for the stove and water heater. Those are all live. So speaking of the stove and water heater, this is the stove. It is electric induction, so you can use induction type pans. And we found that you can only use one burner at a time, otherwise it might overload the inverter and blow a fuse, and that's a bit of a pain to fix, so we don't want you to have to do that. Looking down below, this is where the water heater is located at. It is a heavy power source, the water heater, as well as the stove, as well as any sort of heating elements, so please make sure to only run one of those things at a time. If you just take the plug and you plug it into the 3-prong here, you'll see the water heater turn live, and then you just turn this dial for it to start heating water. So if you want to use it for taking a hot shower or rinsing off some hot dishes or anything like that in the sink or whatnot, this is what you use. But otherwise, we just recommend you keep it unplugged and turned off. That way it doesn't drain the batteries too quickly. There's also a TV located behind this panel. If you just pull up on it like this, there we go. We have some nice things to hold it up. That's where the TV is at. And up above the cabinet, which I just opened here, there's an HDMI cable that has an iPhone cable if you want to use that in order to have your phone screen play on the TV. Should you want to use the sound, you actually need to take this headphone cable, and that's connected to the monitor back there, which there are no speakers in that TV monitor. So look at that, and then the Bose soundbar over the bed here also has a headphone cable, which you take and you plug them together. Just like that. And typically what I'll do is I'll run it up above these cabinets. Kind of just drape them up like that so it's out of the way. There you go. So whatever is playing, whatever sound is going to come out of the TV, will play from the soundbar. Note that the soundbar does have a remote here for you to turn the volume up or down. There's also a Bluetooth option if you want to connect it to your phone and play music out of it. It'll be called Bose TV Speaker. So that's pretty much it for there. There's a couple of items that are here just as courtesy items: some sunscreen, bug spray, a lamp, and some bungee cords should you need to use them. Also note that there are lots of USB cables that are around the vehicle that are easy for you to access should you want to charge your phone or any other device. Alright, now let's get to setting up the bed. So if you hold 1 second, I will... I forgot to show that we have to actually take out this pin. So if you push the bed in a little bit, it'll kind of release any tension on the pin, and then you can just grab it and pull it up. There we go. So I'll just set that aside for now, and then show you that the bed will, if you pull on it, slide out. There we go. And then that this part of the back mattress will fall down, and you actually push it into place like this. And that's what your bed is. So then use the bedding to cover it up, and you have a nice cozy night. Resetting it, just lift the mattress back up, slide the front part over. I just grabbed with my finger and pushed it forward like that, and then once it's aligned well enough, which I use, like I said, I like to lean into it so that there's a clearance in the hole, then you drop the pin back in, and that'll keep it in place and keep it from sliding whenever you're driving around. additionally, we do have a fan back here. There's a button on the top back here so that you push that and it will turn it on and change the fan speed. If you need to get out the back door, there's a handle here. Just pull on it like that and that opens the door up. And then the second one is here. Pull on that and it opens up this door as well. We'll also note that we do have an AC unit on the ceiling that you can just turn on by pressing this button. And when you want it off, you can just press it again. And if you want the light to turn off, just press and hold until the light turns off. There you go. Lastly, as far as things out of the back of the van, if you park on an uneven surface, there are leveling blocks that you can set up like Legos and drive up and park on top of them. There's also a little grill, some fire starter, a couple of chairs and a table back there, and some nice just like drawer type storage back here. There's 2 hoses. The gray one is for connecting to that gray water tank for the waste, and then the green one is what you can use to fill the potable water tank. Also, we do have a battery charger here, or a jump starter, in case the vehicle itself ever dies. And we also have some spare tools and spare fuses under the driver's seat. Lastly, should you be doing a contactless pickup, there's a tow connector here, and expect to see a lockbox on it that will have the key in it. Okay, and that concludes the tour of the van. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fun trip.